All righty. Well, Hailey, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. I appreciate that.
I'm delighted to do it. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much. So I was looking over your resume and it's impressive. You've done a lot of very diverse things. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. So, yeah, my name's Thomas Bretzmann. I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. At the age of 8 years old, I watched Michael Phelps compete at the Beijing Games and win 8 gold medals, and my love of swimming was born. Um, I in high school, I was recruited to swim for UNC swimming and diving, and it was there that my leadership, teamwork, and discipline skills were honed. I applied to UNC exclusively and got in. And then while at UNC, I studied entrepreneurship and economics. I swam for 3 years on the swim team with 3 scoring ACC appearances, and I ran an aerial image capture service. And so after graduation, my plan is to hopefully have some sort of sales related role. But I'm very open-minded and looking to kind of do whatever position makes sense for me in terms of like the firms that I'm applying to and things like that. And yeah, hopefully one day I'll be able to open my own business because my interests really do lie with entrepreneurship.
Nice, nice. Let's go back to your swimming. First off, what's your event? What do you do? Swimming,
I swam
diving,
the
what's your event?
mile. So I was a
Wow.
miler in college, and actually in high school I specialized in the 10K, which
Hmm.
is a little further than that. So
Wow.
I was doing a bunch of like national level events for that, which was really cool. I got to travel all around the country and see like Tempe, Arizona. I went to Irvine, California for one of those meets. There was another one north of LA at this lake called Castaic Lake. That one was
Hmm.
especially difficult because the water temperature is 68 degrees. And they were doing this like new USA swimming legislation thing because I was kind of unprecedented. And so, yeah, it was really tough because I had to
Hmm.
swim like without a wetsuit. And I was one of the younger people there. I think I was 16 at that meet. And so I was swimming against these like 21-year-old men that had, sufficient amounts of like muscle and stuff like that. So it was tough, but it was fun. Good experience for sure.
So one of the things captivated my attention on here, demonstrated leadership while developing a new team culture after program coaching change. You got a new coach? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right.
So tell me a little about that. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. So my freshman year, when I came in, we were our head coach was Rich DeSalm, and he was one of the people that recruited me. And so I got to train for a season under him. And then unfortunately, at the end of that season, he had a tumor, and he had to get that removed. So he decided to step down from the position. So it was a really big blow to the team, and just kind of shocking to realize that we had to restructure kind of everything, because typically when the head coach leaves, a lot of the assistant coaches go with them, just because they have to kind of establish a new regime, if you will.
Right.
And so I was, present for that whole process. The summer following my freshman year, we kind of had discussions as a team, and with Bubba Cunningham, who's the AD at UNC, and he helped a lot just to kind of walk us through the process and really like pick a head coach based on who's available. And so that was really cool just to be like kind of hands on with that and involved in that process. And so as a team, we chose, or we didn't really choose, but we were able to get Mark Gangloff to come and be the head coach. And he's been outstanding. And I swam under him for 2 years. And so, yeah, it was really, kind of out of our control, but at the same time, it was up to us to embrace the change and really work to create that new team culture. And that came in the form of, for instance, like one of the first days Mark was here, he had us all clean Corey, like the whole pool deck. We went through the whole thing, the basement, which we called the dungeon, and all sorts of different nooks and crannies in that place that hadn't been touched in decades. We swept the whole thing, got all the trash out of there, and kind of created like a new home for ourselves. And so it was a really cool symbolic moment that Mark was able to establish for us, where we got to create this new culture, like in the most real sense of the word. And so, yeah, that was awesome. But outside of that, it was really a matter of kind of like understanding in the locker room how my teammates were feeling about the whole thing, because there were mixed opinions. Some people didn't really appreciate the change or see what it could do for them, or had ties to Rich and the past coaching staff. And so, yeah, it really boiled down to kind of understanding everybody's individual needs and trying to help them work through that for the team goal and team direction that we were trying to head.
Excellent, excellent. So I see that you had your drone business where you were the founder and CEO, and you've also worked for somebody with you say Investra?
Yeah, so Jeremy would pronounce it investor, but invest SDR is just as good. They're essentially synonymous.
Okay. So you've had your own deal where you're an entrepreneur, a straight up entrepreneur, and then you work for someone. Tell me the differences in those and how you've experienced both and what you think about both.
Yeah, for sure. So I think just given that, my business is kind of my own, I don't really have a team. Actually, that's a lie. I do have one teammate that I'm working with right now, but in the past, like in high school, because this kind of originated around 2018, like August of 2018 was when I really started getting clients for my photo and video work. And so, yeah, it was just, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. Could you repeat the question?
Yes. So just compare being an entrepreneur and working by yourself or with a team, but being in charge of that team and working for someone else. What do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? What are some of your strengths in each of those scenarios?
Right. So I think on my own or with a small team, it's kind of hard to establish accountability. Like that's probably the number one thing is like really waking up and like knowing what you have to do for the day, and how to take advantage of specific opportunities. Because a lot of times I find myself passing up opportunities and say like, oh, I'm too busy, I can't handle that right now. Which is really easy to do, but at the same time, it's important to kind of dial in and focus on those. So I think accountability is a huge thing. Time management is kind of goes hand in hand with that, because you really have to schedule out, block out your day and determine what you're going to be doing at specific times of the day, and communicate that with the team. And I think with my experience at Investor, it was a much larger team. We had probably, it's kind of difficult to explain because there are multiple different projects involved, but each project tended to have between like 3 to 8 people that needed to be kept up to date with a bunch of different stuff. And so, yeah, that was kind of my role as the videographer. I was going around and looking at people's schedules and identifying when I could interview them, and capture those segments to produce these videos for marketing purposes. And so I think it was a little bit, it really was pretty similar to my experience alone or with a small team in a sense. It's time management, and just like effective communication, all those different skills to kind of understand the environment that you're in, and what your role is, and how to bring the best out of everybody.
Nice. So when you were doing the marketing for Investor, to whom were you marketing?
So Investor, basically the role of the company is to purchase these like small family homes that are kind of outside of big metropolitan areas. So Jeremy has a focus on Charlotte, Raleigh, like Durham, the kind of triangle area right now, specifically places like right outside of those, that kind of have like a value and a vacation sense. So he has multiple properties up on Hyco Lake, and he basically takes a family home, divides, he'll buy it, or not buy it, but he'll what's it called, mortgage it, and then divide the equity among seven investors or sometimes more. And then, sorry. Yeah, so he'll divide the equity among 7 investors, and then he will, God, I can't think right now. I forgot the question again.
No worries. It's late afternoon. It's always difficult. So to whom were you marketing?
Right. So we were basically marketing to these investors that wanted to get on the projects, because there are a lot of people hitting them up over Instagram and social media and stuff like that. So there's already a lot of demand, but it was kind of important for us to identify which projects might perform better. And so that was my role, is to really show off, not just the house, but we also had like are you familiar with glamping by chance? Yeah. So we got into that a little bit. He bought an Airstream, and there are a bunch of other like different properties all around North Carolina that we were visiting and filming, to kind of build like the Investor brand. And so it was really cool to see all of that and be able to be a part of it, because I really felt like I was kind of showing off exactly like what was coming up, what was on the radar for Investor. early on, and then use that to build videos that people would encourage people to make investments in those projects.
Excellent. And so would you put those videos then on YouTube?
Yeah, so we did a series of YouTube videos. We did several on Instagram, and then the majority of the traction really came from TikTok because that's just been blowing up recently. And the small video format seems like people really like that, and it's kind of more palatable to some extent because some of the videos I was making, especially the interviews, would run 20 or 25 minutes, and not everybody, especially professionals, have the time to sit down for 25 minutes and listen to somebody talk. So it was really cool to kind of figure out the little nuances of each platform and how to take advantage of those to get as many eyes on it as we could.
So what was the length of your TikTok videos?
I think they were in the range of 10 seconds. I'm pretty sure most of them were 10 seconds. Some of them would be a little longer. I'm forgetting exactly. It was a while since I worked on this, but I think they range from like 10 to 60 seconds typically.
Interesting. So you're doing a YouTube, it's a long, involved thing, and then trying to get that down to 10 seconds. That seems like that would be very challenging. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, it is really challenging. So for the interviews, you really can't get a lot of the content in the TikTok just because of the nature of it. Like in 60 seconds, you can't give all that information. So what we would do is basically kind of create like a snippet type thing or like an impactful segment from the interview, like one specific statement to encourage people to go watch the YouTube video. And then on top of that, we would just take advantage of the platform and like how it operates in a sense that like on TikTok, we would do a lot of the promotional videos for the houses. So like the before and after the renovation, we'd have those up on the TikTok because it's like pretty fast paced.
Right.
So yeah, it's really just about kind of figuring out where to put certain projects, video projects that is, and what makes sense for each platform.
Well said. So how did you get people to tune into your TikTok or your YouTube?
That was kind of tough. We had a following already, but it was really just about consistent posting. And yeah, that's essentially it. I didn't do a lot of like LinkedIn advertisements or things like that, although it would have helped. But yeah, it was mainly just posting consistently and ultimately developing kind of like a fan base almost, or like people that would continuously watch them. And we saw the numbers grow like throughout that summer because I started in March that we were doing things at Jordan Lake. And then as late as October, we were working on this project at Bear Lake Reserve, which is like south of Asheville.
Nice. Nice. That sounds great. Good for you. So I was looking too at you chose to be an economics major with a minor in history. Now tell me about that path. How did you go down that path?
Yeah, so when I came into UNC, actually in high school, I was planning on, I watched Grey's Anatomy with my family and I thought I wanted to be a doctor, specifically a neurosurgeon. So, I took AP Bio senior year of high school and kind of realized that's not what I wanted to do all 4 years of college. And so I switched gears a little bit and I was planning on doing something business related. And so I chose initially to do pre-business. And so I went through, freshman year, didn't get the greatest GPA. I was trying to, transition and get used to my new lifestyle. And so I wasn't a top applicant, let's say, for the business program. And so I kind of decided to shift gears and I applied to the Shuford program, got into that. That was awesome. I was really excited about that because I see it as really like, there are a lot of parallels with the business school and the Shuford program. And so I wanted to take advantage of that. And I decided that economics would probably be the best major to do, just given how versatile it is in the workspace. And so I kind of, did a several, or actually the business like prerequisites were also a lot, or very similar to the econ ones. Like for instance, I had to take econ 101, I think econ 410, and some other ones. So I was already kind of on that path and it just made sense to major in that. And then history, I decided to minor in history just because I've always loved it. And I found the like essays, particularly at UNC, to be like pretty interesting. Like the professors are good about picking interesting essay topics. And there's also like a very diverse range of classes that you can take through the history department, which I found super interesting because in high school, it had just been kind of like world history. I took like a global comparison class where it compared like Nigeria to Russia to the United States to China. And so that was cool, but it didn't really go like in depth in anything. And so I think at UNC, I've really been able to, I took like a history of the Ottoman Empire, I'm in history of sea power this semester. And then I think it was also last semester that I took history of the Olympics. So there's like a bunch of really cool topics that I otherwise wasn't able to do in high school and really like hone in on. And so I've really valued that opportunity here.
So what's one of your favorite history classes and what have you taken away from that?
So I have to say, I'm not done with it yet, but sea power would have to be like the number one. Either
Is
that or
sea
the
power
Olympics.
SEA?
Yeah,
SEA?
that's
Sea
right.
power? I'm
So
sorry, go ahead.
basically the Olympic one I already touched on a little bit. That was really cool. And the professor was really engaging and good about just like making it a fun and exciting class. And I feel like the sea power class is very similar, but I like the content a lot more because it's going in depth on like ancient history and how like the papyrus boats kind of evolved into, you know, the vessels that we use today. And like it's been said that the aircraft carrier, the modern United States aircraft carrier, is like the, what is it, eighth wonder of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it was just really cool to me to so far to see all the different like progression in terms of like history and sea power and exactly why certain things happened. Like he goes really in depth on kind of talking about how the age of exploration contributed to a lot of technological innovation because there wasn't really a need for it yet. And so I'm kind of seeing parallels to like modern day where you have like Bezos working at Blue Origin and Elon with SpaceX, and they're kind of the pioneers of like private space travel. And it's really cool to see that like this technology is just now coming to fruition because the need has finally, you know, arisen.
Interesting. Nice. And tell me your path with Shuford programs. Why did you decide to pursue that?
So as I said before, I thought it was a good alternative to the business school. And I had gotten great reviews specifically from one of my friends that I met through Econ 125. His name's Tarif, and he's a great guy. He actually didn't finish the Shuford program, but he encouraged me to join and get active in UNC's entrepreneurship kind of like ecosystem. And so that's what I did. I applied to Shuford. I got in, and I really liked Econ 125, and I feel like the classes have only gotten better since then. Like last semester, I forget exactly what number it was, but I took like it was a more arts focused entrepreneurship course, and that was really cool because it kind of opened my eyes to this whole other side of business that I hadn't considered before in terms of like royalties and creating songs and movies and all sorts of stuff like that. And I got to create a cool project with my team through that, and that was a great experience. And then now with 393, I feel like this is the perfect kind of capstone class, and it's really allowed me to hone my skills and push me out of my comfort zone. So I'm very appreciative that Bernard's, you know, allowed us that opportunity.
Excellent. Excellent. What other things along the way besides the classwork, what else in the Shuford program has helped you to develop, and what has it given to your path?
So with swimming, it was kind of tough to reach out and get super active in extracurricular activities, but at the same time, I can point to one specific example, which is the internship funding, which I got that last summer for my internship, and that was super helpful in allowing me to do all these crazy like visits and stuff like that, and you know pay to stay in Chapel Hill and to travel, like for the Bear Lake Reserve project that we did at the end of the summer that I was talking about. I drove to Asheville and back, and like that cost a lot of money in gas. So it was really helpful to have that stipend to kind of contribute to what I was doing.
Nice, nice. And what did you learn from the different? What did you learn from the Bear Lake Reserve project? What did you learn that you'll take into your future?
I think so. It's interesting because the guy that we worked with, his name's Keith Rudman, and he owns this insane property down there. It's probably like it. Have you heard of Great Wolf Lodge?
Great Wolf Lodge.
It's like a indoor water park, amusement park
Yes,
kind of
yes,
thing.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have.
So it's
It's
kind
in
of like
Tennessee, right?
that. Sorry.
It's in Tennessee.
Yeah. So he basically built something similar to that he called Camp Keith for his nieces and nephews. And it was just this crazy property that took up the entire coastline, had like an island, and all sorts of like really fun stuff like a volleyball court, and things like that. So I think and the minute we walked in the door for that project, he said like, put your things over here. walk out the back door, hop on a jet ski and go have fun. And like, he didn't want us to work. And Jeremy and I initially had planned on the ride over there that we were going to like put our nose to the grindstone the minute we got there, because we had limited time to take advantage of that. And so it's interesting to hear that, because it really got me thinking about kind of like the work-life balance and how you really have to enjoy what you have and live in the moment, and not just work all the time. And so it was cool to see this guy who's crazy successful. I mean, like certainly successful enough to own this property. He just like directed us to kind of not work, which was interesting. That was something that I hadn't encountered yet. It frustrated Jeremy a little bit, but yeah, that was really cool. And then he also opened my eyes to the world of commodity trading, because I do, invest a little bit. I'm interested. I have an index fund right now that I'm invested in. And I do some day trading from time to time and talk to my dad about stocks and the market and how it's doing. So it was really cool to hear about commodities and his experience with that and how it's, enabled him to amass such surprising wealth.
Nice, nice. So tell me about your trading. Are you a technical trader, or are you a story trader, or financial sheets? How do you pick?
Well, really the index fund is the main thing right now. I do like from time to time, I'll look at individual stocks and invest, specifically during the whole GameStop fiasco. I was kind of more interested in that and trying to figure out what made sense. But from a technical standpoint, my knowledge is somewhat limited. So I do, understand that the index fund is like a more diversified investment in a sense that like you own part of the market, and shares from kind of all over. And so I saw value in that, because you can kind of like have diversity with while only owning one asset. And so, yeah.
So in your future, you said you wanted to go into a sales related role. Would you see yourself working, being an entrepreneur and owning the company, or would you see yourself in a small to mid-sized company, or would you want to be with a big corporation?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, I don't know, I feel like by sales role, really what I'm going after is just, sales and effective communication. Those are the skills I'm trying to hit right now, because I think they're super like important, not just in the workspace, but with everything in life. Like you always have to sell yourself, sell like whatever your idea is to people. And I see a lot of value in that. And so I actually have a book right here that I'm reading for the second time, called The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. And it's been like really good, and just kind of learning, the strategy and the process of that whole thing. But yeah, my plan is to kind of get some sort of role. I don't really have a preference as to how the size of the company. I applied to the Motley Fool. Unfortunately, I didn't get that position. But that was a really good experience to have, and kind of, I think, like a good sized company in terms of what I'm looking for, something where I can make an immediate impact, and really, be hands-on, and have different roles. But yeah, I think, in the short term, or not so short term, maybe like next several years, I'd be interested in, starting some sort of sales career, really developing those skills and building my network. And then hopefully one day taking those skills that I've learned and applying them, in a more focused way to my entrepreneurial endeavors.
You made a very wise statement that effective communication is imperative in all aspects of your life. So what have you learned, either from Way of the Wolf or from just your own experience, that has helped you to be a more effective communicator?
Yeah, for sure. I think the Way of the Wolf really like kind of focuses on the other individual in the sales encounter, the person that you're working with. And I think a lot of times I find myself kind of in my head about like either my appearance or how I'm coming across to people, which makes it difficult to, be an effective communicator, because I get nervous and then it's tough to think about things. And so it really like kind of opened my eyes to the fact that like we're all humans and you can always appeal to people's emotions. And yeah, I think that's a really important thing to consider, and something that Belfort does really well. And this extends past The Way of the Wolf. This is also based on my research that I've done on him as an individual, because he's got a lot of great YouTube content too. And I think I really value the visual aspects of that, because you can really see exactly like how he's operating, what he's doing specifically, his body language and things like that. You can't really pick up from on the book. So I think like between those two, yeah, it's really just about kind of understanding other individuals and their reactions and what they're looking for and how to best serve them. And yeah, I think in my experience, I don't know. I had another point. I kind of forgot.
Those are excellent points. You're doing a great job. Excellent
Thank
points.
you.
Do you have anything that you want to ask me? We're at the end of our time. Do you have anything you want to ask me?
Honestly, well, if I could get any feedback, any immediate feedback, that would be great.
I think you do a great job of clarifying your points. If you're having a hard time remembering, as an interviewer, I wouldn't mind you writing down, like I write down notes of what you said so I can remember what you said, because I think of a question and I go on your path and I've forgotten what I wanted to ask you. So I write down things that I want to say. And I think if you ever feel like you're not able to remember where you are, to have a pad and just write it down real quickly, that's not going to offend an interviewer at all. And that way you can have, I want to do 3 points right here. And you have those down. And here's 3 points I want to say, and just have something down there. And taking the time to do that might be helpful for you so that you can best express yourself. But I think you did a great job, and your points are right on track. Saying that effective communication is important wherever you are, and also talking about you said something over here, embracing the change of the coaching staff and embracing the change. Those are great words. And I actually didn't write this down, but you said seeing what your teammates are feeling. And that's an important life skill, but it's also important in sales. It's important in running a business. It's important in dealing with customers, going into the other person and what they're feeling versus thinking about what you want to get across is so important. And you captured that beautifully. I think you're there. I think you got it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means the world to me.
So where'd you go to high school?
I went to Chapel Hill High. I'm actually
Chapel Hill High?
from the Chapel Hill area originally. So it's been an experience. And just to kind of go back to the interview, I think it's like really, really good to take advantage of my network that I have here. And that's like kind of been my greatest strength, because I feel like a lot of times when you go to other places, you kind of don't have that network, or you still have it, but it's a little more absent, less and less so in this day and age when we've got Zoom and things like that. But yeah, I've really, taken advantage of that, especially with regards to my drone business. It's been really helpful to have this.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Are you still working on it says to present, are you still able to keep your Chapel Hill drone going?
Yeah, so I'm working on it. Like I mentioned, I had a buddy, have a buddy that's currently helping me out with that, because I'm in 17 hours this semester, which is pretty strenuous. Yeah, it's not the best. My planning wasn't great the past couple of years, and so I've been stuck with 17 hours.
Is this your senior final semester?
Yep. Not ideal.
Very few seniors in their final semester have 17 hours. I admire that.
Yeah.
That's good for you. Good for you. Good for you.
I'm not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. And I think I'm handling it okay.
And so you're not swimming this year?
I'm not. I stepped down from the team in September of last year.
Do you miss it?
No, not at all. Actually, I think it was the right call. Yeah, I loved it for a long time, but all good things come to an end, and I think it was just time for me to kind of, I don't know. It's been a great opportunity to learn just how to live without the resources that the team provides. That's been the biggest asset, because they really like do a good job of structuring your life around the pool and making things easy. And so not having access to those resources has made me think about how, that'll impact my life after college.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. That's very interesting. Well, you're doing great. Looks like you've had experience on your own. You've had experience in a commercial setting. Like you're gonna go far.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Anything else you want to ask me, or anything else you need from me?
I think I'm all set. I'm sorry that I kind of pushed us over the time.
Oh, no worries. I'm doing great. Well, best of luck to you. Best in everything to you, and I hope that it all goes well.
Thank you so much, Lee. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Thomas. You too. Bye.